Hey friends, I know it's been a while since I've been on here. The last year and a half has been very difficult for me losing my child the way that I did lose her. So in order to kind of keep my mind in a fresh place and not dive down into those bad feelings and thoughts, I decided to start a podcast. And in this podcast, I deep dive into true crime stories and celebrity stories, like where are they now type things. So I've been doing that on BuzzFeed, and it's been going well. I have decided to add some visuals here on YouTube, just another way for me to have an outlet and to see if this helps me with my mental stability, basically. So I'm going to do my first story. This one is about Lizzie Borden. Being someone who grew up in New England, this is a story that we all grew up knowing. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. I might be looking at my computer. I'm still going to try to figure out how to read and look at you guys. Again, this is a new experience for me. I hope you follow along and you enjoy it. All right, so let's deep dive into Lizzie Borden. Lizzie Borden was born on July 19th, 1860, in Fall River, Massachusetts, to her parents Andrew and Sarah Borden. Lizzie had two siblings, sisters Alice and Emma. Her father, Andrew, was a wealthy and successful property developer. He was also the president of a major bank in Fall River, and he was the director of 3 cloth mills. Not much is said about her mother, Sarah, other than she passed after Lizzie's birth. 3 years after Sarah's death, Andrew had remarried a woman named Abby Dufree Gray, and she moved into the Borden home. Abby was 37 when she married Andrew. She desired respect and social status, something the Borden family had. She was often called a pushcart peddler, so marrying someone of Andrew's status was unexpected by many. Many people in the area speculated that Andrew only proposed because he wanted a housekeeper and someone who could raise his daughters. Lizzie and Emma did not get along with their stepmother and often argued with their father because of it. Lizzie and her sister Emma grew up with a religious upbringing and regularly attended the Central Congregational Church. As Lizzie got older, she began teaching a Sunday school class and was greatly involved in church activities, such as the Christian Endeavor Society and the Women's Christian Temperance Union. Lizzie often held leadership roles in all the organizations she participated in. Despite her positions on committees and her age, she had not found a suitor. She was not considered a beauty. Some people even went as far as calling her homely, and for those who tried, she felt they were not up to her standards, or her father would view them as inferior men and would chase them off, stating they were chasing Lizzie for their family's fortune. On August 4th, 1892, the day of the murders, her father had breakfast with his wife and left the house to attend some business meetings. Lizzie sent her maid to clean the windows on the ground floor and then the 3rd floor where she would finish. Meanwhile, allegedly, Lizzie went to her stepmother, who was in the guest room at the time, and killed her with a hatchet. Police had counted 18 blows to the head, much less than the 40 we grew up listening to in the poem. At approximately 10:45 a.m., her father returned home. He was tired and decided to nap on the downstairs couch. While he was sleeping, it's alleged that Lizzie saw him and struck him 11 times with the hatchet. Lizzie stated to police that she had discovered her father's lifeless body about 30 minutes after he had laid down for his nap, and shortly later their maid Bridget found the body of Abby in the upstairs bedroom. Police believe that both victims were killed by crushing blows to the head with a hatchet. Lizzie was arrested on August 11th, 1892, and had been indicted by a grand jury. However, the trial did not begin until June of 1893. The hatchet was found by the Fall River police, but it appeared to have been cleaned of any evidence. The prosecution didn't have a strong case because the Fall River police didn't collect evidence properly. At this time, fingerprint evidence was something the police did. However, they didn't do any fingerprint lifts off of the alleged murder weapon. With as many whacks to the head her stepmother and father took, police found none of Lizzie's clothing to have any bloodstains on them. It was later reported that Lizzie tore apart and burned a blue dress in the kitchen stove a few days following the murder because it had baseboard paint on it. Based on the lack of evidence and testimonies, Lizzie was acquitted of the murder of Andrew and Abby Borden. Following the trial, Lizzie decided to stay in Fall River and moved in with her sister Emma. But they grew apart and Emma decided to move out. Lizzie then decided she would no longer go by Lizzie and would now be called Elizabeth A. Borden. The last years of Lizzie's life were spent ill, and in 1972 she had passed away of pneumonia. When she passed, her family did not make a public announcement. It is said that Lizzie planned her own funeral and paid for everything up front. She had left a list with the funeral home of who was invited to her funeral. Upon arriving, the guests were told the funeral had been held the day before. She left her heirs $225,000. She was buried with the rest of her family at the Oak Grove Cemetery in Fall River. On her headstone is the name Elizabeth Andrews Borden. Her final resting place had become popular over the years, so much so that the cemetery owners had to paint arrows on the roads to direct people to her grave. The Borden house is now a bed and breakfast and does a 90-minute tour where they walk you through the scenes that occurred on August 4th, 1892. And that, my friends, is the story of Lizzie Borden. Thank you so much for hanging out with me with Deep Dive with Erin. Again, this is just an outlet to help me with my mental health. I'm sure if you saw my last, 2 videos on my YouTube channel almost 2 years ago, you can understand why I have been gone and have the feelings that I have. I hope this continues and it helps me and you guys help me further my mental health journey to get better. So with that said, until next time, guys, bye.
Let's deep dive.